Okay, we are good to go. Okay, uh, so in this session, we are going to discuss the front-end system design for a real-time collaborative editor. Let me just add that here, editor. Uh, where we are going to talk about mostly text-based, but this applies for same. The principles apply for Figma, Notion, and any kind of collaborative editor that you know. The principles will apply to the same. But for a discussion, we will keep the discussion to Google Docs, right? Just a text editor. Um, how many of you had attended my previous session on rich text editor? Anyone here? No one? Or you have watched the video? Okay. Uh, so if you have watched, it will be better. Okay, Sagar, yeah, you attended. I remember. So yeah, if you have attended, it will be you will get more context because lots of things we covered in rich text editor, which we'll just glance over here. But still, you'll get a lot of fundamentals from this session also. So we are gonna follow the radio framework, and the radio framework is like you have the requirements first, requirements gathering, then you have the architecture, then you talk about the data model, then you talk about the interface like API. It can be component API or the backend API or any kind of API, and like at the end we discuss about optimizations. So yeah, let's begin with requirements. Let me just write it over here and Excel. Requirements. Okay. So yeah, these sessions I keep it interactive. So I would like your guys' participation. So yeah, please help me with what do you think are the functional requirements for real-time collaborative editor? Anyone?
I think like first would be users can edit the doc in real time.
Yes. So that users can edit the real time. What else?
RBAC support.
Sorry, airbag support. Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Back. So basically access control. Yeah. Okay, got it.
correct.
Yes. What else?
How will it work in offline mode?
Correct. Offline usage. Another critical one I would say is that conflicts should be resolved, or if multiple users edit the same part. This is one of the critical ones. And this is again obvious one, but we'll just mention all the users can see the same, what do you say, revision of,
Version.
what do you say, sorry.
Nothing. I just said that the users can see the same version
Yeah,
of the
yeah, I
document.
think version even sounds better. It's just the same version. Okay, cool. uh, Anything else? I think like users can uh, join the doc anytime, right? They can participate anytime. It's not that if you started a session, whatever users are there, and later no one can be added. That's not going to be the case. So you can join anytime, drop anytime.
Yeah, and users can have different access roles. Like they can be either editor or like simply the viewer or commenter.
Got it. Yeah. So we can add that here only in access control, like editor, viewer, and I think there's one commenter also, I guess, which is commonly you can comment, add comment. They cannot edit, but they can add comments. So yeah, we can add more, discuss this more, but yeah, enjoy drop dot talk anytime. Okay, so let's say in terms of non-functional, what do you say? What would be the requirements? One is very clear that updates should be real time without with minimum latency. Minimum latency, and what
And
else?
it would have like eventual consistency. Like we won't go for high consistency.
Yeah, eventual consistency. So like yeah, got it. What else?
I mean, in functional requirement, user specific cursor should be there, right? In order to distinguish which user have
Got it.
selected or
Got it. Good code requirement. User avatar
yeah.
cursor. What else? Anything else? And just for the sake of it, we'll just add over here that up to 100 users can edit or access visitors. Access doc edits. I mean, and even Google Docs has the same limit. If I am not wrong, it has like 100 users. So yeah, uh, that's the cap, like maximum cap that we'll add. Anything?
It would be web-based application.
Yeah, it will be web based. That is given. If you want, we can add it. Web based. Okay, I think we are good with the requirements NFR. If anyone feels any requirements can be added later, let me know. We'll refine those. Okay, so now we come to the architecture part. Okay, this is going to be the huge part of today's session, the architecture. We are going to discuss a lot of things here. So, first of all, like, what are the challenges? What do you think are the challenges uh,
I
for
think
this? Yeah,
first is the conflict resolution part.
conflict resolution is another. I would say like latency. Uh, People should get the update as soon as possible, right?
Yeah.
Then we'll talk about like real time, right? I say real time latency should be similar, but yeah, let's keep
Yeah, I think it would be similar.
similar, right?
Yeah.
Uh, what else?
The concurrency, like multiple users seeing the same update.
Yeah, I think that will also come as part of. We'll just add it here. So your is real time. Sorry, real time, and here we can say concurrency. So I think major challenge is the real timeness, right? Real time updates and the conflict resolution. Conflict resolution is going to be the main part. Okay, and now talking about like what are the various things that you need to discuss. So again, like those who are attending my this session for the first time, I'll tell you, if when you're discussing about the requirements in an interview, actual interview, you discuss about all the requirements that you can think of for that particular prompt. So this is your prompt, real-time collaborative editor. That's your prompt. So for that prompt, whatever you can think of requirements, just uh, note them all down. Then you can ask the interviewer what are the core user interactions that you want to focus on. Okay, because we won't be able to cover all of them in a 45 to 50 minutes of interview. Today's session is 2 hours, but because I'm explaining it's 2 hours, but in an interview it will be like 45 minutes, 50 minutes max. So listing down everything tells how much are you aware of functionalities of various web application, and we are thinking of user experience. Second, like breaking down, you can suggest that these are the core user instructions that I think we should focus. And if the interviewer thinks otherwise, let's say he wants to focus on something else and not on what you said, then they can tell you at the start of the requirements. Because once you start without confirmation and you carry on, and after half an hour you realize that that's not what interviewers are looking for, that doesn't go well for you. Okay, so out of all these requirements, we will focus mainly on like real-time edit. We'll focus on offline usage of conflicts for sure. Same version of document, can join and drop anytime. Okay, these are the ones which I'll focus primarily. If we get time, then we can focus on access control and user out there. Okay, so let's start with the first thing. So how are you going to render? Okay, rendering. So I think only Rahul, you not Rahul. Sorry, I forgot your name. Who attended my previous session? Sagar. Sorry. So Sagar, you can tell that in terms of when you're having a rich text editor sort of an experience, what are the different ways you can have?
There was a canvas, I think,
Yeah, canvas,
and then there was a cursor rendering it in a div with a cursor calculation, right? Cursor position calculation.
cursor. Yes, and the one which we should use.
The content editable also could be there.
Correct. Content editable. So these are the primary ways to have or design a rich text editor. Uh, One is canvas, like you have the document dot like your HTML canvas, and in that then it's completely in the JavaScript. You use the JavaScript to then maintain the entire state or create the elements or everything in your browser. A DOM with fake cursor is like you are just hacking your HTML. Actually, I might have a demo that will help you understand this better. Let me find it because I made it for this session. Self-rich text editor. Yeah. Okay. I hope you can see that. So text area is also there, but text area like obviously you cannot use because like it will be just an input box. Like you will have to hack a lot for that. So text area which has only plain text. DOM plus fake cursor. Here basically if you have to add anything new, right? You will have to make sure that the cursor is also moving. You have to, if the letters are small or big or italic, the cursor has to align accordingly. So creating a DOM with fake cursor is a really huge task. Then comes content editable. So let me show you how it looks like. So we have a div. Let me. I hope it's zoomed enough. So if you see this div, has a property content editable equals to true. Okay, that means in this I can write whatever I want, and if you see currently it's bold, I can select it, do command I, it will make it italic. I can do command B, it will come out of bold. I can undo, press command U, control Z. So like that you can do undo, redo, everything is possible if you just make it content editable. Okay, in that it will add accordingly, right? If you see hello is a plain text, so it is coming directly a text node hello, but then world is bold, so it comes under strong, and then within that this is bold plus italic, so it comes under high tag. So that is automatically taken care of by your DOM, by your browser. So if you make any div or any element content editable, you can add text to it. And this is how usually libraries which are rich text editor make the rich text editor. So famous rich text editor like TipTap, Quill, Lexical. You can search for all of these. And if you want, you can see my previous video webinar on rich text editor to get in more depth of it. Okay. So those are the different ways, and content editable is the one usually 95% of the library use that. Canvas is also again a popular one. Google uses this Canvas based approach. Uh, they have their own reasons because they want it to look familiar across all the browsers. For content editable, it depends on your browser's implementation. Like your browser styles are different, right? Something if you render on your Firefox or Chrome or Safari, it might look different. Still, the libraries that I'm talking about, TipTap, Quill, they make sure it's looking consistent. But for some reason, Google chooses Canvas. Okay, so just that information I would say. But 95% of the library use content editable. Coming back, so rendering approach, we will go ahead with content editable. If you want more deep dive, you can see my previous session. It is there in my YouTube. At the end, I'll share the link. How do I say? There's no.
So I had a doubt, like while we are explaining in the interview, we have to give the pros and cons of the
Correct, correct.
these
You have to
options.
explain the trade-offs. Correct.
Okay, okay.
So that's what I explained here, right? Each and every pros and cons. So you have to talk about each and every pros and cons trade-offs. For each selection that you do, you have to explain that. But I'm not going in depth because that I got into different session. Okay, cool. Then comes your what do you say? Request payload. So basically, how are you going to send the data across? Okay, one is it contains the entire document, another it contains only the changes. So let's now talk about the trade-off of this. So let's say if you have like the entire document as your like state, right? Also local state and also the payload of request. Then recipient or whoever the client joins or whatever, let's say I am the on the editing and I am streaming it to everyone else. Whoever is receiving, they know the entire state. They don't need to do any calculation or stuff, and they can directly replace that. Okay, but the other con of it is that it will be completely replaced, right? Or you have to do a calculation. Okay, this is my entire new state, this is my entire current state, because let's say I edited my document 3 days ago, and after 3 days someone else edited their document, the same document, and now I'm getting the update. If I get the entire doc, it could be that I had wrote it written only one page and now it's 5 page, and also the one page that I written, it's completely modified, right, in bits and pieces. So the conflict resolution will be a huge task. So that's one scale, one con. So in short, we can say that it is not sort of scalable. It is a good viable way of doing it, but I don't think it's scalable. Does anyone have any other opinion on this containing the entire document state as a state or as a payload?
No, I think it's clear. Like it's basically sending and receiving the whole document state.
Correct, correct. And when we are very well aware of the cons, that it should not, like it's not scalable. Like for smaller documents maybe, but something like Google Doc or maybe we'll also talk about Figma and Notion, right? Because same
Yeah,
principles apply. So yeah, even there it won't make sense, right?
yeah, yeah.
So the another option is containing only changes. Okay, Now, what do you mean by containing only changes? Like, let's say if I have written, I'm just giving an example, hello, okay, and that's the document everyone has currently, and then I start writing world, okay. So, what will our payload contain? Now, we'll discuss the entire thing in the data model and the interface part, but just briefly, it should contain. I'll ask you guys, what do you think the payload should contain? Let's say hello was the thing that was earlier, and world is what I added now. Okay. So what do you think my payload should have?
The payload would be having world because that is the change that we are adding.
Yes, let's say world. What else?
The cursor position.
Position, correct. So I'd say we'll go with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is space, and then 6. Ignore the this thing that I'm just adding it. So let's say 6. Okay. What else?
Does it make sense to have the user who made the change? I'm not sure about that.
Yes, maybe yes. User ID can be like ABC 1 to 3. What else? One more important thing is missing. Actually, two more things. Yeah.
Timestamp.
Type
Timestamp.
change like inserting or deleting.
Correct, correct. Yes, yes. Timestamp, and the one that I was looking for is like the operation.
Yeah.
Insert, delete. This is insert, so we'll add insert. Timestamp. It can be UTC timestamp. This is also important. Yeah. And one last thing, which is important. Okay, I'll give you a hint.
Version of the doc.
Version. Version. So which version of the doc it is? Okay. So like let's say 2. Something. Because everyone had hello and now I created another version which is version 2. Or maybe you have to send the previous version, let's say. Update on version 1, something like that. That we can decide whether we send the current version or the next version. But yeah, a version. So at minimum you need the content which you added. Here we don't have any italics or anything like that, bold italics, otherwise we have to also send that time like formatting or for that we can think how we will do. But yeah, it can be an object. Then position, user ID good but optional. The timestamp is actually needed. Even user ID is good to have. Let's not mark it optional because you should know which user ID. But yeah, most criticals is like text, the position, the operation, and the version. These are the most critical, without which we cannot do. Okay. Is everyone clear? Any confusion, doubts till now?
How would the version be decided?
So the version can be just a number. For example, when let's say I created the document, okay, so that will be like let's say version 1, okay, and now I wrote something in the document, let's say hello, and now till I've written hello, everyone who accesses the document will see version 1 only. Now let's say someone else uh, accessed and edited word over there, so that becomes version 2. Now it has to be propagated to everyone that version 2 has been updated and everyone should receive that version 2. And now let's say I am offline for a lot of time and meanwhile lots of content is getting edited. So whenever the content is getting edited, whether it be delete, insert, update, whatever, a new version is created. And I had version 1 and now I am coming back to my document at version 50, right?
Oh,
So that now when I come to version 50, I will connect and the server will send it to the version 50 is this, and these are all the operations that happen, and this is how you reach to the final uh, document.
version. Okay, got it. Okay,
Mm,
thanks.
What about how, like, consider two users are editing consecutively? Uh, which front end will decide, like, consider I'm also typing, you are also typing, and we are both on version 1.
Yeah.
Then whose version is version 2 Is it mine? Is it yours?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Got it. Yeah. So two things I would talk about. One is when you're typing, we can either use the debouncing or throttling so that we are not creating a new version at every time. Okay.
Okay.
Second, that the thing we talk about the concurrent editing thing, we can do
Hmm.
it based on timestamp. So we can have up to millisecond timestamp, and according to that, whoever was writing the first, right? Whoever left writing the first, there will be the first timestamp, and that will be the version, the next version, and then the next version will be the person who was like off by a millisecond, like that.
Okay.
Right? Good questions. Thanks for those questions. Okay, so now we understand like what does containing only changes mean. Okay, this is very efficient because the payload size is small. If we want the latency to be really less, right, in milliseconds, the payload has to be small. Right? If we just consider an entire document to be sent, oh, let's say 50-page document to sent to the server and then the server to all the clients, the latency will be huge. But if it's just the changes, the latest changes from the previous version, it is very small payload, right? So that's another benefit of it, right? So that's how you will maintain your payload. So let's decide. Okay, I did not say, I'll just say, how do I do tick mark? 1 second. Tick emoji. Let's search for it. Copy, and I hopefully I can paste it here. Yes. Okay. Okay. Cool. Uh, where were we? Okay. Cool. Now, in terms of your network architecture or the communication model, right? Uh, network, or let's say communication. So here I'm not talking about polling, long polling, WebSockets and all. What I'm talking about is right. Should it be like client server or should it be peer to peer? Now, what advantages and disadvantages both have is like for client server, we will have a centralized source of truth. So whenever someone new joins, right, they can get it directly from the server. They don't need to find out which peer has the latest version and then get from that. They can directly get it from the server, right? And but the what do you say disadvantage is that it has single point of failure. Okay, if the server goes, like the entire data is gone. Now obviously for this we can have backups, we can have like redundancies and stuff, right? So that is an easily what do you say avoidable drawback. Second is cost. If we just have peer to peer on the only on the client side, we don't have the cost of server, the maintaining entire server. Okay, and in terms of peer to peer, what I would say is the latency is lower because it is not going via, let's say I am updating, it goes to server, then it goes to client. In peer to peer, I am the client, it goes to the other clients. Okay, so the latency is little lower, cost effective because like there is no central server. Okay, but there are disadvantages which are major, which is synchronization problem. Now without a central authority, it will be really difficult for us to make sure which is the latest version. Okay, and also whenever someone new joins, we have to again figure out which one is the latest version, which is the current state we have to give to this new user. So those are all the complicated stuff that is there. Again, it is solvable. You can have robust algorithms that will do it, but you have to measure your pros and cons, your trade-offs, whether you want this or not. Now, another thing I would like to add here is where something like Google Docs or Figma or anything like that, you anyways require a server. Okay, you need a server to store the data, right? You need the server to have the access control. Okay, you need the server to validate the data, right? So anyways, you are going to have a server. It's not going to be like server is you are saving on server cost. So anyways, you are going to have server, and also there are lots of synchronization issue with peer to peer. Then it's better to go ahead with this client server version. Is it making sense? Does anyone have any questions or counterpoints for this?
No.
No? Okay, great. Cool. So let me just add a tick mark over here too. Okay, I think it's still in my, just a second. Yeah, it's still in my clipboard. Okay, so we are going with client server model. Now coming to the most critical part of this, okay, which is concurrency control model. Here is where you show off your knowledge. Okay, this is the major part. All these things till I whatever I told you, you should wrap it up quickly if this is your interview question. Okay, you should wrap this up as quick as possible without wasting much time. This is one of the two parts where you have to spend enough time and make sure that you are able to technically communicate these things to the interviewer. Okay, so concurrency control model. Now, there are various models of this. Let me just try to write them down. One is last right wins. Okay, I misspelled it. Next is floor control. Then locks. Then is transaction based. And the last one is version detection. These are the various concurrency control models. Okay. Now we'll discuss each of them one by one. Okay. So the first one, as it says, right, last write wins. So what do you understand by this? Let's say if three people are writing and they are editing the same part of the sentence. Let's say it's Alice, not Alice. Let's use proper name. Let's say Arthur, Thomas, and John. Okay. Uh, Arthur Wright wrote at 10 a.m. Arthur Thomas wrote at 10:01, and John wrote at 10:02. So, if they are writing the same sentence, which sentence do you think will be there in all of theirs document at the end at 10:03? If you follow this thing.
Whichever is the latest timestamp.
Yeah. So which one is it?
I'm sorry, I didn't
The
get
10:02.
Sorry,
You gave 10:0 and 10:01 and 10:02, so I think 10:02 one will be the last one.
10:02, which was John. Okay.
Yeah.
This will be the last one, and that will be updated in both Arthur and Thomas. Here I'm giving you 10:01, 10:02, but like I'm giving you seconds, but it can be milliseconds also. Okay. Just
Okay.
for you to understand, I'm just giving you 10:01, 10:02, 10:01. So if we go with concurrency model number one, which is last write wins, do you think this is a good user experience?
Mm, no, I think like there could be multiple people who are editing at the same time. So like race conditions could occur.
Yes. And even in that race condition, like we see in last write wins, we see like whoever updated at the end,
Last
even
one,
in the
yeah.
race. But what do you think the like is it a good user experience, or is it something that you would want to use a product where it is like which
Hmm.
follows?
I think won't be good because also it's like a collaborative setting. So I think that would not work out with this option.
Correct, correct. Anyone else has any other opinions? Do you think that this is a good option? Okay, so I think we are unanimous on that. That this is not a good option for having a good collaborative user experience. Okay, the second one, which is floor control. Now, floor control is like it's sort of a protocol which is token based. So let's say five users are editing, okay, or five user wants to add, it will have a token, and it will be passed across all of the users. So whoever has the token, they can edit or update the document. Okay, everyone else cannot edit or update the document. And this can be you can either put an algorithm, or there can be a designated user, like say author who created the document, who can decide who will get the next token. Okay, so that is either up to the user, or you can have an algorithm which decides it. So but at a time, only the one person who has token will be able to edit the document. Now what do you think, is this a good user experience for collaborative editor?
No, I think it also prevents it from being collaborative because one time only like one person can edit the doc.
Correct, correct. So basically, I am, if even if I want to edit, I cannot, because I don't have the floor, right? I don't have the token. So that doesn't work well for collaborative editors. Okay. Uh, Now, where it will work is, let's say if you have a video editor sort of a collaboration, where you don't, because video editing, if you do it collaboratively, it is really difficult. So in those kind of applications, they do use sort of a flow control thing, where at a time only one person is able to make the edits in the video. But yeah, as here we are discussing about real-time collaborative docs and Figma and Notion, those kind of applications. Okay, so cool. The next one is like locks. Okay, now locks is a little similar. Okay, but it is gives you a granularity, meaning in floor control we had like the entire document gets locked. In locks based one, we will have a certain part of the document that can be locked by the user. Let's say if I start editing, let's say there are 10 paragraphs, and I start editing the third paragraph. Now the third paragraph is itself locked. No one can edit the third paragraph. They can still edit fourth paragraph, second paragraph, 10th paragraph, anything else they can edit. Okay, I'm just telling paragraph as a block of content. It can be sentence level, it can be paragraph, it can be a page level. Yeah, that you can define. The granularity you can define. But whatever I am editing, for example, so you guys cannot edit that paragraph. Now, what do you think? Is this a good model? Does this give a good user experience?
I think it was better than the floor control one.
Hmm.
Um, and also like because they are giving certain like log based on the like paragraph or any maybe word, so maybe like people can collaborate better here.
Okay. Yeah. So it's way better than logs. Sorry, floor for sure. But do you think it's ideal?
I don't think so because how, like, let's say if you lock it for a third paragraph, like you mentioned, if anyone other user tries to edit the third, he will not know that it is locked. So
Correct.
for him, it will be like a broken flow that he's not able to edit.
Correct. Correct. Yes. So that's why I would also consider that logs is better, still better than floor, but still not the optimal one. And this is where it is. Uh, it talks about the front end system design, where we got the perspective of both. That okay, it is still better. I may use it, or no, I still want better. Okay. So if you, I'll give you a real example. Quip is an real-time editor sort of an application. I will share the link, which uses logs model. So actual applications are using logs model. Okay. Uh, no, people are answering in chat. Yeah. Uh, so I'll just share that. So it does use. So there are certain editors which do use, but what we want, we have clearly defined. We have defined real-time collaborative. Okay, if you want real-time collaborative, logs is not going to cut it. Okay, because if someone just keeps editing one paragraph for let's 10, 20, 15 minutes, I'm not going to be able to edit it, right? So that doesn't work. So here I would say better than floor, but not ideal for real-time collaboration. Okay. Okay. What happened? So next one is transaction based. So to explain transaction based, the best example that I can give you is Git. Git is transaction based concurrency control. So let's say whenever you are working on a pro repo, right? Obviously your entire team is working. What do? You create a branch, then you make changes, then you create a PR. And if someone has made a change which is conflicting with yours, what do? You resolve conflicts, right? So that's your transaction based model. Okay, so again, everyone has their own copy. So in this case, in our editor thing, everyone will have their own copy, and when they click on save, at that time they'll have to see whether they have to resolve conflicts or is it good to be saved, right? Either of those. So now, what do you say? What do you think about this approach? What kind of user experience is this?
Like if we compare to the lock one, obviously it won't give us the lock. Like it is better than locking, so like it has a better collaborative user experience here. Um, I think, and also we will like ask for the same version of the copy, like the final one. Mm,
Anyone else has any other opinion?
Yeah, but when the conflicts will come, then I guess like let's suppose at the one line n number of people have edited, so those n number of people will have to resolve conflicts
Correct.
of the same line.
Correct.
So like in Git, like if we haven't pulled, like let's say the user has typed a long text and then click save, there will be too much conflict, right? Let's say if users don't save automatically, right? Let's say everyone is working for 30 minutes or so, and then they click save all at once. Then how do you decide which one, which conflict? Like you understand, there will be a lot of conflict there. Then
Correct, correct. Yes, yes. Again, now we are having both kind of trade-offs for this model also. That yeah, it's still better than logs. It is collaborative. I would not say it's real time, but it is collaborative.
but here we are resolving conflicts. Like we have to basically resolve conflict. So
Correct.
won't that be a like not a good user experience?
Yes, so that's what. So ideally, it is not a good user experience because at the end, when we have to resolve conflicts, that's not what we want.
Yeah.
So as a user, I want the application to take care of it. I don't want myself to do it. If I wanted to do that, I would just use Git, right?
Yeah.
Now, there is one application that each of us has used. I believe if all of you are software engineers working in a company, there is one software which we all of us has used which uses this, not Git, an actual collaborative sort of an application. Can someone tell?
Jira.
Con-
Confluence.
conference.
Confluence.
Hmm.
So whenever you see, you will see, okay, someone has saved. There's a different version. Which version do you want to keep, or something like that? You will get right. It won't do it automatically. So you have to explicitly, let's say if you're editing the Confluence page, you have to explicitly click save, right? And even before you click save, using like WebSockets or something, I think, or maybe using just the what is it, servers and events, it will know that okay, someone else has edited, so it will give you a pop up somewhere in the top left, right? Pop over. It will say there's a new version, so we want to discard it, save it, merge it. So that Confluence, it uses transaction based. So there are applications which do use transaction based. Okay, so better than blocks model, but still not real time and uh, leaves the conflict resolution on the user. Okay, so yep. What is it? Okay, cool. Now the last one. Now obviously this is the one which is ideal, but now let me explain what this is. Okay, so here in the version detection model, like the entire documents state is replicated in each user's machine, and the participants can make changes locally, and they are propagated as soon as possible. Okay. Now, when there will be conflicts, there are two things you can do, right? One is reject the request, right? Or you can compensate the changes. Now, obviously, we are going to do compensating of changes. Now, the compensating of changes will happen via two ways. There are two popular ways of doing it. One is operational transformations, and second is conflict free replicated data type. Okay. So here the conflict resolution is taken care by an own algorithm. It's not left out to the user to do the resolution. It is the algorithm that it will do. Now, how ideal it is, how good it is, that we will see. We'll compare both operational transformations and conflict free replicated data type. But according to me, and again, based on what I'm telling you of how this works, I think this is the ideal way. What do you guys think? Any opinions? Okay, so I hope everyone is agreeing. Um, so here in version detection, now we have two options. Okay, which is like OT and CRDT. And now, uh, who here knows about OT and CRDT? Anyone? Or is the first time you're hearing this? Because I'm assuming everyone is hearing for the first time. Operational transformation. Again, here the first one was concurrency control model where you spend the most time, and the second one is conflict resolution. Here is the second part where you spend the most time. Okay, so okay, let me inside conflict resolution, we'll talk about first the operational transformation. Okay, so yeah, let's understand it visually. I already created an example over here. Uh, Reset it. No, let me zoom it. I don't know if it's
So I wanted to know, like, the two, like the OT and CRDT are the algorithms that is used by the version detection model, right?
correct. Correct. Yes. And in terms of which is used where, in terms of use case, OT is used by Google Docs. Okay, and OT is a very old model. Mostly newer applications use CRDTs, but Google Docs use OT, and I think it's same for sheets and the other whatever slides and whatever collaboration they have. So it uses OT, and Figma, Notion, all those they use CRDT. Figma started with OT, but in 2019 or somewhere they changed it to CRDT. Uh, so yeah, I'll explain what each of those are, but I'm just giving you real examples where these are used. You will always see Google uses something which is not the entire industry uses. The same for rich text editor. It uses Canvas, where the 95% of libraries use content editable. Similarly, like your 90% of application use CRDT, whereas Google uses OT. I don't know why they do that, but yeah, they might have some reasons. Yeah. Uh,
Okay, so like, generally, if like the problem statements don't mention that we have to give like based on Google Docs, so it would be generic.
hmm.
Then in that case, what should be like our trade-off, like based on OT and CRT?
Correct. So, regardless of whichever application you are doing, you have to discuss the trade off and then pick one which makes more sense to you. It is
Okay.
you who has to justify it to the interviewer. Okay.
Okay.
So, you have to have the conviction that if I use this, I'll feel that my application has better conflict resolution. I'll explain now both, and at the end, I'll ask you, what do you think you should choose? I'll ask everyone actually, what do you think you
Okay.
should choose?
Okay.
So we'll discuss that. That's why we have this collaborative webinar. Wow, real-time collaborative webinar. Let's do this. Okay. Uh, so we have two characters, Thomas and Arthur. Uh, a quick trivia: do you guys know who are these famous characters, Thomas and Arthur? If anyone knows, no, no Peaky Blinders fan. Okay, anyways, leave it. So yeah, so Thomas and Arthur, there are two characters. Now both of them have same version of the document A, B, C, D, E. Now, what is the naive, like brute force version of conflict resolution? Let's say Thomas deletes. Okay, someone is joining now. Cool. Yeah, Thomas deletes D. So we will say delete at position 3. So it was, I'll just go back. So it was at 3. Delete at position 3 and the letter delete D. Okay. And now Arthur, he deletes at B at 1. Okay, let me go back. So B is at 1. And now if I go to the next step, it is deleting B. So both of them did at the same time. Okay, and now its sync is going to happen. Okay, so if both of them are now syncing, so what will happen? Delete at 3 goes to Arthur and delete at 1 goes to Thomas. Now what happens here is, what was 1 over here? 1 is B, right? So it will delete B. It will become ACE. And what is 3 at Arthur? It is E. So it will delete E. So if you see, both have now drifted. Like this guy has ACE and Arthur has ACD. Now this is a very basic, naive, brute force way of conflict resolution. This is not what OT does. I'm just telling you. Now, what is the magic of OT? That's what we'll see. It has a central server, okay, a central server where it will do transformations. Okay, so that's the second part, like operational transformations. So, and the core idea of OT is that it preserves the intent of the user, what he wanted to do. Okay, now we'll see by the example what does it mean. So let's say here we have revision one. Okay, as I told, for each document version, you have to mention, you have to maintain the version. So everyone, two participants currently, Thomas and Arthur, both are working on revision 0. And even server has revision 0. This is a fresh new document which has just ABCD, ABCD. Okay. Now what happens? You again, Thomas deletes at 3, same thing, and it goes to the server and it applies it, and this is now the revision, it becomes version 1. Okay, Thomas sent it as revision 0, that this is my current version, and now once the server updates that version, it becomes version 1. Okay, now at the same time, Arthur deleted at position 1, which was B. So now B is deleted. Arthur's uh, character is now ACDE, and that also sends now to the server. Okay, both of them basically sent same time, or you can just assume Arthur was offline and now he sent it, something like that. So now Arthur's changes are gone. What server will see is that there is a revision mismatch. Current server version is revision 1. Okay, but Arthur is sending updates on revision 0. That's what it sees. And then it understands that Arthur wanted to delete character 1 in version 0. So it will see what is version 0, it will see what was the character over there, and then it will change. So let's go to the next step. Transform delete at 1, no change needed. Server transform the operation, and all replicas now show ACE. Let's go back. Let's see what happened. Uh, Now we have A, B, C, E. Okay, so let's go here. Division 1. Let me. Okay, oh, I think I moved to the next scene. Sorry. Hmm. So Thomas has deleted B. Okay, it goes to the server. It becomes revision 1. Okay, now Arthur is deleting at 1. Oh, okay, this is 1 second. Sorry, my bad. We went one more slide ahead. Let me start again. Thomas is deleting at 3, so it deleted D. It went to the server. Now Arthur deleted at position 1. Okay, so Arthur wants to delete at position 1, but in version 0. It has version 0. So server understands that I have to delete position number one. Okay, so now it will delete at position number one in revision number one, and all both of them will receive the same exact version of the document, which is revision 2, which has the same exact item ACE. So here, what server the transformation does is that it knows what is the intent of the user. Even though the user is at some older version, the server will apply some transformations based on what version the user is and what the current version is, and then eventually it will make sure that at the end there is a one final version which all of them are on. Is this clear? Do you guys have any questions here? We'll have one more example to see, but any questions here?
No, I think it is clear.
Okay, good. Thanks for the confirmation. Now let's see one more example. So again, we have ABCDE, ABCDE, ABCDE. Next step, B is deleted. Okay, fine. Here D is deleted. Okay, and now the first the revision, which was delete at one from Thomas, came here, and what is the difference here? Arthur's delete at but delete is now at index two. Hmm. Okay, let's just try it again. An index does need adjustment. So first we deleted B. Okay. Now what the situation here is that server has not received any of the changes yet. Okay. And now Arthur deletes D. Okay. Now both have drifted. Both are, let's say, offline, and they did that change. Okay. Now Thomas came online, and it was applied. The change was applied, and the server is now at revision one with ACDE. And now Arthur came online. Arthur came online, but he wanted to delete at position number three. What is the position number three in version one? It is E, but the payload says that delete D. So the server will now understand that Arthur wants to delete at position 3D, but D is at 2 now. So it will intelligently apply it accordingly, and it will delete the D, and then all of those things comes together. I think this is a better application, with better explanation than the previous scene. So I hope it is more clear now. Do you guys understand what is transformation and how does it apply transformations?
One thing like for version 0 at position 3 we had D.
Hmm.
So so basically the intent was to delete D, right?
Correct.
Instead of the position that would be there. So
Correct.
that would be the final intent.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that is clear.
Okay. Anyone else? Any doubt? Do you want me to do this again? Because this is the core important part of understanding. I think previous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have one question. So if let's say Thomas and Arthur try to edit the same index and try to like insert different character,
Hmm, hmm.
in that situation, what will happen?
Yeah. So again, what the server will see is that it wanted to insert. So let's say you are telling. Let's consider that. Actually, I have just a second. I have one place where we can actually try it out. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so I'll share this link with you guys also. You can try it. This is an actual visualization of OT. Uh, okay, so let's say both have A, B, C, D, E. Okay, just make it so that both are at the same version. Okay, but now both have. Let's that D is remain. Sorry. Okay, So yeah, can you ask your question again? Should I delete
Yeah.
something from here first? Uh,
Yes. Let's say Alice delete D and write F,
okay,
and Bob also deletes D and write G or something else.
G. Okay. Now, what do you think will happen? What do you guys think will happen? Should happen.
I, I think it should be merged. Like there would be conflict between F and G.
Yes. And how will it be resolved? What will be the final state? How will the server try to resolve it?
Based on versions, maybe. So last one G will remain.
So what you're saying is like last right wins sort of a thing, right? The whoever
Yeah.
load right last will happen.
Yeah.
Any other ideas? Any other? So let me define the scenario to you. Okay, Alice made a change. Bob made a change. Both of them are done at locally yet. Okay, it is still in their local. The timestamp will be captured. When did Alice make? When did Bob make? That is fine. But both of them is still local and is not sent to the server yet. Okay, and one deleted D wrote F, one deleted D wrote G. And based on your current understanding of operational transformations, what do you think will be the final state?
I think A B C G E.
A, B, C, G, E. Okay. Uh, let me write it down here. What else? Any other? Any other output? Okay. What about A, B, C, F, G, E? What about this? Can this be possible? Let's see. So let's send this and we'll receive and send. Okay. So what is the final version now?
A B C F G
F,
E.
G. But why is this the case? We can go through each of them and see in detail. But why do you think this is the thing? See what Alice did. It deleted D and it wanted F. What Bob did, it deleted D and wanted G. Both of them wanted to add something in place of D. Okay, so the intent of both of the user is that I want to add something deleting D. Now they don't know that other person is also doing it. Now, if we go with last right wins model, Bob had updated later, right? So G will be there. But Alice updated. Alice doesn't know Bob. What did Bob do? Okay. So do you think it's a good user experience or Alice? Okay, I wrote F, but now after a millisecond I am seeing G, or after a couple of seconds I'm seeing G. No, right? Because the intent was to delete D and write F. And similarly, if we don't do last right wins, right, and we update F to Bob, then again Bob will say, I wrote G, why is there F over here? So if we give F and G, then both the intent are preserved. And now I can understand, okay, I wrote F and Bob also added G. Got it? Does it make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. But like then we are saying like the conclusion would be, I thought like because of the index that we are inserting, that would have more like priority. So basically, at the end of the day, the timestamp has more priority than the index number, right?
Uh, Timestamp, no, timestamp it doesn't have priority. It's the intent that is priority. Timestamp will have priority in case of CRDT. So in CRDT, we will see that timestamp will have the most priority. But here also timestamp does come in part of the algorithm, but it's not the priority. Preserving the intent is the priority.
Good, but
Hmm.
what is the intent? Like, how do we quantify intent?
Yeah, so that is up to the operational transformations algorithm. to identify that. And as I told you here, that if Alice is removing D and adding F, and Bob is removing D and adding G, and suddenly Alice sees G instead of F, that's not a good user experience. So that's an calculation that's a decision that the algorithm makes. Okay, whoever wrote the algorithm, maybe that they made that, according to the ideal user experience, I should not delete F,
Okay.
because the Bob did not delete F. Bob deleted D. Got it? Bob did not know that there is something like F.
So different companies can have different variations of OT
Yeah, it
algorithm
can happen.
for their own use
This
case.
is a general OT algorithm. If you want, you can have your own sort of rules in that if you want. But
Okay.
if you just use the default OT algorithm, this is how it will work. Because
Okay.
Bob never intended to delete F. Bob never knew F existed. So deleting F would be a mistake.
So basically, the intent would be like deleting D in this case, right?
Yes, it's just deleting D and replacing it with something else.
Okay, okay.
Both of them had the same intent. So neither of their new characters should be deleted.
Okay.
Right? Any other questions, queries?
Yeah, and also the purpose of timestamp would be like F occurs before G, right?
Correct.
Like,
Exactly. Exactly. So timestamp is in the um algorithm, but it doesn't have the priority like that. Good. Good point. Very good point. Okay. Any queries? Any opinions? Suggestions? No. I think we're good. What else do I have? Intent preservation. Yeah, one more example of intent preservation here. Okay, so between OT and CRDD approach. So let's come to this once we are done with CRDD. Otherwise, it won't make sense. So I hope OT is clear now. Let me zoom this CRDD. So what OT is based on is that let conflict happen and we will resolve those conflict. Okay, by using transformations and intent preservation. What CRDT's principle is that we will never let conflict happen. It won't even be possible to have conflict. Now you might think, how is that possible? That's how I'll show you how it's possible. So and one more thing, CRDT follows the principle of commutative and associative properties. Now let's go back to our school days, and does anyone remember what does commutative and associative property mean?
Yeah, I guess a plus b plus c equal to means in brackets something. Uh,
So you're talking about then associative. Okay, let me
yeah,
let me first write this conflict free. It's actually dash free replicated data type. I don't know why there it's not CFRDT, but it is. Uh, yeah. So commutative. That means A plus B is equals to B plus A. It doesn't matter when A or B came. It's just that A plus B is equals to B plus A. That means 5 plus 10, just I'm giving example, equals to 10 plus 5. It doesn't matter if I add 5 plus, like I add 5 to 10 or add 10 to 5, the result is same. Similar it goes for multiplication. Okay, A into B will always be same to B into A. Okay, like similar like 5 into 10. This is your commutative property, and you'll understand how is it related to CRDT. But for now, just understand this. And yeah, obviously, this won't work for subtraction and division. Okay, it just works for plus and multiplication. And the second one, which is associative, it means A plus B plus C is equals to A plus B plus C. So it doesn't. So in terms of example, let's say 5 plus 10 plus 15 will always be equal to 5 plus 10 plus 15. So it doesn't matter first you add 5 and 10 or you add 10 to 10 plus 15. At the end, the sum of the entire three things will be the same. Same will go for multiplication. I'm not writing it down, but it goes for multiplication also. But obviously, it doesn't go for subtraction and division. Just letting you know. So CIDT follows commutative and associative property. Now let's first understand naive brute force approach. Okay. Let me refresh. Okay, so both of them have hello at the starting, and I inserted x at 1, and Arthur is going to insert y at 3. Okay, so both of them have their local, and CRDT works in a peer-to-peer fashion. It doesn't require a central server in between. Okay, as I told, it guarantees no conflicts, so it doesn't require a resolution part or a transformation part. So it is always be peer-to-peer. So here now my Thomas's version is XHELLO and Arthur's version is HELYLO. Now the brute force version would be that I send those operations across. I would say insert X at 1 and insert Y at 3 to each other. So if you go to next step, Arthur will end up in HXELYLO and Thomas ends up with HXEYLL0. Oh, not 0, because it added y at third position, but it was modified because I added x there, and here I wanted to add x at 1, but due to position change, it was not added at the proper position. So at the end, both of the string don't match. Okay, so this is not CRDT. This is just a naive approach of CRDT. So now let's see actually what actually it is. So the name conflict free replicated data type. Okay, replicated data type meaning whatever uh, content you have, it can be text, it can be Figma vectors, it can be Notion, anything, text blocks. It will convert it into a data type, it will replicate into a data type in which it will guarantee no conflicts. How? We'll see that. So here we have 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 hello. I go to next step. I'm adding something after x. If you see closely, notice the index. It is 1.5. It is not like it did not change. It did not become 2 and 3, 4, 5. It did not cascade. Okay, it did not shift. It just created a new index 1.5. Okay. Now next step. Why I added it at between 3 and 4. So I created a new index 3.5. Okay. And now I sent it across that insert x after h1 and insert y after l3. So now what it will happen, it will eventually end up with the same exact version of the document, because the index here are created newly. It's not just 0 1 2, it's not decimal based, it's not integer based, it is going to be decimal based. So let's say if I keep adding between h and x, then it will be 1.25. If I keep adding between h and then whatever is the new, it will be like divided by 2, like whatever is it, like 12 1.125. You can keep dividing the decimal, it will never end. It will, you will never find like okay, I cannot divide this further. So, but here, obviously, if you are storing this in array doesn't have 1.5, 1.3. So, it will store it in some data types which have this kind of provision. So, what are those data types? Can someone tell me where you can add something in between without losing the order?
Linked list.
Linked list, correct. What else? Anything else? Trees, right?
Yeah.
Trees. So eventually, the data that we have, the CRET converts it into a replicated data type. That could be linked list, that could be tree, doesn't matter to us. You can learn about it if you want, if you're interested. but we don't have the time to cover that in this session, and nor do I have the expertise to understand that. I have used CRDT libraries, but I don't know in depth level how it works. So here, the concept is that if you add something in between, it's a new thing. It is not replacing anything. Okay, it's not an sort of an array sort of an index like it's zero. It's not integer based index. You can create as many index in between, and those index doesn't mean anything. It's just a new node in linked list or a new node in a tree. Okay, so hence CRET guarantees that there will be no conflicts at all. You can do whatever you want. But there is one drawback. It doesn't necessarily preserve the intent. We'll see that how. And second thing is that if you add x first, y later, or if you add y first, x later, it doesn't matter. That's the commutative property I was talking about. A plus b equals to b plus y, b plus a. So if you see here, we added x in Thomas first, and we added y in Arthur first, and later we added the other characters. But it didn't matter. At the end, we got the same result. That's the commutative property I was talking about. I'll pause here for now. Queries, concerns, opinions, anything. Okay, I think either all of you understood everything or it went above the head. If someone can confirm, I feel better. If
No,
you,
I think it is clear.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Great, cool. Okay, now let's go to the next scene. Concurrent inserts. Okay, let's see that. So we are adding t at 1.5 in Earther, and similarly we are adding a at 1.5 in Earther. Now we set each of them together. What do you think will happen? I gave you the hint while discussing in OT.
Timestamp basis, it will, I think, accept A
Exactly,
or
exactly. Timestamp based. So who did first?
Thomas.
Thomas did first. So what will be the end? HTAELLO. That should be at both the ends. Let's see that. Yes, that's what it is. HTAELLO. Because it's all time based. Arthur did it first, so it was just I'm giving random time 1001, and Arthur did at 1002. Very minute, microseconds maybe difference. I don't know. It could be that. So that's how it will end up. Any queries, questions, concerns here?
in this case, how the index will be calculated, both were the 1.5
Yeah, yeah.
in
So they'll keep dividing it. They'll keep dividing it. In terms of algorithm, they'll keep dividing it. In terms of storing, it will just store in linked list or they'll create a new node in linked list or tree or something. Got it. Cool. What do I have next? Deletion, tombstones. Yeah, this is again an important concept. So let's see a scenario where Thomas added Z after first L, okay, at 3.5. Arthur deleted the L at 3. Okay. Now the change is happening. Uh, what do you think will be the final state?
It would be HEZLO.
HEZLO. Okay. And anything else? Anyone else thinks it will be different? No, I think either everyone agrees. So, yep, that's the thing. It will be HEZLO. And why is that so? Because internally, it will, as I told, right, it's a node, right? It's a node. So they will make sure that that node is marked in a such a way. It's called tombstone. So that means it's deleted. Internally, it will still be there, but maybe they will just say like previous pointer, next pointer, previous. If you guys have done a little bit of DSA, you would know that. And in terms of tree also, like it can go to parent to child, something like that, right? So or sibling, I guess, yeah, sibling. So They'll just reorient it, and that node eventually will be garbage collected.
Okay.
Cool. Any questions, concerns? No? Okay. I think we're good. Cool. And yeah, then I have just the summarize at the end. Like OT use index based right operations. CRDT creates unique IDs. Uh, this is one of the ways that I showed, like dividing it by two, because it will you can infinitely divide it. It won't ever be done, like exhausted. Second, OT does the transformations at the server side. CRDT inherently are commutative, so it doesn't need to do any transformations. OT will require a server at the center server, and CRDT works peer to peer. It doesn't require a server. Okay. OT is mature. It has been since a long time. Google Docs uses it. CIDT is modern, used by Figma, Notion, and what a lot of collaborative editors. Okay. What is the advantage? Is like it has lower metadata overhead in OT. Okay, because it doesn't have to maintain the entire structure. Okay, like maintaining entire tree, entire linked list is a huge task, especially if you have a very huge document. It will be a very huge task. So lower metadata overhead, and in CRDT it is a simpler conflict model. Like it doesn't exist. Like there's no conflict at all. Uh, what is the disadvantage is like complex transformation functions. So if you have uh, different kind of versions and different users at different point of time, the transformation will be really complex. And in CRDT, the tombstone metadata overhead, like you will have to garbage collect all those nodes which are no longer in use. So that's the uh, disadvantages. Now coming back to the intent preservation part, OT approach and CRDT approach. So let's see what are we going to do here. So we select B, C, and D. Okay, in both OT approach and CRDT approach, and then we make it bold. We want to make it bold. So we do Control B, it becomes bold. Next step we do is add X in between B and C in OT approach and in CRDT approach. In CRET approach, you will add X just as it without any formatting. In OT approach, it will know the intent that since the user is adding it between a bold text B, C, and D, it needs to be bold. So it will preserve the intent of the user. Now, you can have your own opinion that maybe I did not want it to be bold. But this is how most of the applications work. If you use any rich text editor, just try to add something in between bold. You will see it is bold. So that's the default behavior, whether you want it or not. So OT preserves that kind of intent. CRD does not. So that's the difference. Any questions, concerns, opinions? Okay, I think all good, all clear. So yeah, we are good with this application. Sorry, not application, explanation. So now I want you guys to tell me what do you think, what do you should choose, and why. Either of, as I told you, both of them are being used in real world applications. So none of your choice is bad. You just have to justify your trade offs. So go ahead. What do you think? What do you want to choose?
I think OT would be better for text based, but anything apart from text, I think CRDT would be good for it.
Good insight. Now can you explain why?
So this CRDT is would be heavier because it would create like trees and nodes to maintain the data structure, but OT doesn't do that. Um, and that won't be required for text-based editors also, like maintaining data structure. So I think in that case, OT would be preferable.
Correct, correct. Good, really good insight. So for our editor, we can go ahead with OT. Anyone else has any other, like someone wants to go with CRDT with a good justification? No, all are good with OT. Cool. Then we'll go with OT. And one more reason is that we are anyways having a central server. and OT requires a central server. So might as well use it. If it was something peer-to-peer, where we did not require a central server, maybe CRDT would still make sense. Okay, and if you want, you can still make a case for CRDT that it is modern, and it guarantees that there will be no conflicts, right? So you can justify your trade-off accordingly. Yeah, either of them, both of them are being used in real-world applications. So
Okay.
yeah, cool. So we can go with OT. We can our choice is OT. Uh, okay. Uh, okay. So next part would be just a second. So in terms of network, let's say web communication. I'll cover this quickly because this I have covered in all of my sessions. So this is real time. Everyone knows, like, if you want to achieve real time, there are multiple ways. One is like polling, one is long polling, then there is server sent events and WebSockets. The first three that I mentioned, polling, long polling, and server sent events, they are for only unidirectional from server to client. Okay, if you want to pass information from server to client. WebSockets is the only one which is bi-directional real time. So for our scenario, WebSocket does make sense. Okay, so but still you should discuss this, like polling, long polling. Um, because in case you go ahead with transaction based model, right, the Confluence way, then you might want to go ahead maybe with SSE, probably. I don't know, for that pop over that there is some new changes. I don't know, maybe you want, because yeah, that's not real time, right? So in that case, maybe you want to go with that. We are going with websites. Now let's design the overall architecture of this, which will be a small diagram. Whenever you are doing any diagrams, try to make it small and do it fast. Don't waste time in creating boxes and stuff. If you explain clearly the key concepts, you might not even need to draw a diagram. But just for them to keep some record, uh, create some basic diagrams. Uh, we, so this is your UI. Okay, this will be your entire client. Uh, I'm not able to edit. So this will be your UI, and then you will have your rich text editor. Text editor, you can use any library. You can say lexical or TipTap, Quill, any one of the libraries you can use over here. It's totally up to the interviewer whether he wants to dive deep into rich text editor thing, which I have already covered in a separate session, previous session. I'll share the recording at the end, so you can refer that if you want to understand that. I would highly recommend it because I had been asked this question real-time collaborative editor. It was 1.5 hour session where he expected to dive deep in editor also, rich text editor also, and the entire collaboration part also. And that was an interview for lead front-end engineer at Zeta. So uh, I had to explain both the concepts because it was 1.5 hour. I was able to cover. If it would be 45-50 minutes, I won't be able to cover. Mm, then yeah, there is something which is like the sync engine. Why do we need sync engine? Okay, so uh, we discussed about conflict resolution, we discussed about concurrency control, but now when a user is typing, okay, it is continuously updating. You obviously don't want to send that update which every keystroke, correct? So what do you think? How will you approach it? How do you send the updates to the server?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So whenever you're typing, whenever you're updating your document, you're continuously typing, and maybe you're taking some break. So how are you going to make the request? You will have an update request to the server, right? So how are you going to do that request?
Mm, Obviously, it would be after like some pause. So using debouncing, we would be
Correct.
send
So
requests
we can either use throttling or
or
debouncing. Okay, either of those is fine. Now, what will be major difference? Like what uh, do you think are advantage if you use throttling, and what will you think if it's debouncing? Are there any difference, or do you think any one of them should be fine?
throttling would be like kind of batching of the request. Like it would send after certain interval all
Correct.
the updates,
Correct.
and debouncing would be basically after like a certain like pause from the user.
Hmm.
I think because this would be multi-user, so throttling would be better, so that we can send the updates of the multiple users that are editing the doc.
Good. So debouncing, throttling. In debouncing, the thing is you can be sending 100 requests, 200 requests, 300 requests. It totally depends on when user pauses for those milliseconds.
Hmm.
Throttling or batching, you have the control that I'm going to send only after every 2 seconds. So you're already predicting that I will have less amounts of or definite amounts of requests. It won't be as much as debounce. So that's why I would say throttling or batching is a better approach over here. Correct. Um, so that is a good discussion. Here, let me just write user events, and this will be DOM updates. So basically, UI is your entire like what is rendering. So whatever you write, right? You do command B, that's a user event. Or even if there's a toolbar, if you click on bold, that's a user event that goes to the text editor. Then it internally does its own algorithm and architecture, and then it updates the actual DOM. So this is that interaction happening over here. And now this is local. This entire thing is local. Now sending it to the server. Okay, so that this is be your local updates. So since we have batch, okay, uh, but what if there is a we have to make sure that this works offline. So if the net is not left for some reason the network is not there, we will have to create a sort of a buffer, right? So there will be a local buffer. Now there will be this is one scenario where your network is not there and you have not sent it. Second scenario is you already sent it and now your network is not there, or maybe the server is down. Okay. So for that we will need another buffer, which is sent buffer. Yeah. So this is here. And then From send buffer, it goes to the server. And in the server, usually we don't need to care more about the server, but since we are discussing about operational transformation way, and that will be in the central server, you have to mention over here that there will be, uh, first of all, pending updates. This is optional. If you want to add, you can add pending updates part. Pending updates, and it goes to create a box. Transformations, the OT part, OT algorithm. Okay, don't waste this much time in drawing diagrams. Just quickly do it. Okay, uh, you can just add in the server. You can just add transformations, and that's all. Don't need to worry about it. I'm just making it detailed for you so that you understand better. It will have applied updates. So this is the final latest version of the doc, you can say. Okay, and then this goes to here. Okay, and what if you want, you can just add it to point to the server, and in the server you can just add OT or transformation. That's fine. That's totally fine. And here, once we have the applied updates, so server updates, okay, so server updates. So the server updates, then go to the back to the editor, and then accordingly it will render the UI. Any questions here?
Yeah, I had one question. So, in sync engine, like, what do you mean by this local buffer and sent buffer? Like,
Sure,
what is it in the client?
got it. Look, I'll explain. Does anyone wants to explain? It's fine. You can be wrong, but does anyone wants to explain? If you understood,
I can try.
yeah, go ahead.
So, let's say you have you for sending the updates to your server, you have opt for the throttling. Let's say you have used a 2 seconds ka period. In the 2 seconds period, user can have update at different places. You could have changed at many places. So all those change packets that you made for the API request body that we have structured before only during the architecture discussion, we will save that those packets, let's say in an array that is in the local buffer. And let's say when the throttle time period has ended, we will batch all those API payloads and send it in a one push to the server, and the server will perform the OT transformation on the series of the buffers and accordingly update and then send the update back to the each clients.
Correct. Good. Really good explanation. Thanks for that. So I'll just elaborate on it. So whatever changes you make in your current browser, right? They will first go to the local buffer. Okay, and they will be batched together. And let's say in a batch you have, but you will also have a max batch size. Let's say only five uh, updates you want to send together. Okay, let's say every 2 seconds you are sending, but at max you will only say send five updates. So let's say 10 seconds happen, there are already five updates. So now you flush. So when you flush, you send it to the send buffer, and send buffer immediately sends it. Now, what is the point of send buffer? Send buffer is if you are online and you have sent it to the server, then it goes to send buffer. And if you are offline, it will stay in your local buffer. All the packets, let's say you keep updating, let's say it became 50 seconds and it became 25 packets. So all 25 packets will be in your local buffer. But whenever you come online, it will first send the 5 packets to the sent buffer. Those will be sent. Okay. Then if once you get the acknowledgement for those, okay, and the response, then you send the next 5 set. The sync engine will maintain all these things. And on the other part, the sync page, the sync engine will also make sure that whatever updates you are getting from the server, you are applying it in your editor. Because it can be that you have a different version, and now you let's say you updated version at 2, and now it's version 20. So your sync engine will make sure that whatever updates I've got, so now I have to update it according to, so from 2 to I have to go to 20. So what kind of addition, difference, subtraction, and not addition, deletion, and updation I have to do. That all part the sync engine will take care of. Uh, is the explanation clear? Is there any follow up query concern?
Basically, is it kind of some storage that we have in our client side,
Yeah,
or how?
yeah. It's a sort of a storage. It's sort of a storage and an engine around it. It's sort of a, you can say, a state where you're managing your entire state. Yeah, both client and server state. Your client state is whatever is there in your local and sent, and your server state is in your server updates.
So
So
these will be in form of like the operations that we have, right?
yeah,
Only the
it
operations.
will be like this.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's clear.
Okay, let's go back. Okay, okay. So I hope the architecture is clear. Now coming to the data model, we already sort of discussed it. It will be something. This will be your packets. This is how overall will be your packets. Let me just copy that. So that's your D of radio, requirements, architecture, data model. Now, sometimes you have to spend little less time on architecture, more time on data model. But in this case, the data model is really simple. Actually, it's complex. If you see my rich text editor video, you will see that we have an elaborate data model over there, because we have like element node and then a format node and child node and all those kind of things. So I would highly recommend to see that video if you want the complete picture. So this will be my data model. It will be very simple. It will be just a small JSON uh, packets of text with formatting, with position, user ID, timestamp, operation, version. Okay, this is how we will be sending. And in terms of updating, when we get the updates also, uh, there can be certain more metadata we can add here. Let's say is it like sent or not, right? So let's say status. The status can be local, I mean not yet sent, it's in the current buffer. Sent, uh, delivered, something like this, right? So delivered will be when you get the response back. So that it's actually sent, because after sending you server can be down, or after sending you lost your internet. So that's your send state, and once you get a confirmation from server, that's delivered state. So that also can be over here, and according to this state, it can be moved from local to send. Okay, and then moved from send to deleted. Like after send, it's deleted. That JSON packet is no longer required. So that can be a data model. It's very simple. But yeah, if the interviewer wants to go into more depth of how are actually going to model the entire DOM, then you should see my rich text editor video. Cool. So that is D part. Now let's come to the interface. Okay. So interface meaning any kind of API. It can be your component API. Let's say how are you going to have your React components? What are your props? And how are you going to map them, or it can be your backend APIs. In this case, we will discuss more about the backend APIs. So there are certain questions which are component question. Let's say if someone asks you how to do a system design of a modal or tabs or autocomplete. In that case, you will go more on the component API sides. That what will be your props, how you're going to do theming and all those stuff. This is an application system design. In this case, you will talk more about your backend APIs. Okay. Um, so we will have sort of like an initialization API. Basically, whenever a new person joins, okay, they will send a sort of, let's say, a get request, right, which will then send them their current version. Okay. Um, this will be your request, your revision, say whatever it says, let's say one or two, and your name, user ID. I think that at most basic, this is what is required. And in the response, you will get the revision ID and the entire document. If you are joining for the first time, it's better to get the entire document. Okay. Uh, what it replaces. But as and when you keep updating, then you can have that proper CRDT or OT, in our case OT transformations and stuff. So that will be one initialization API. Second would be your update or save API. That let me just uh, copy it. I have it. Something like this, where you have your type, which is update, and then your request ID, your revision number. Okay. Where undo or redo. This we did not discuss yet. We can discuss that in the optimization part. Undo, redo. Then operations. Then operations. Each of them will be our payload part, whatever we discussed here, like node ID, type, payload, characters, index, right? All of these, like position. I just gave different names here. These has different names, but these are basically set of operations that are there. So for update or save, this will be your API. Now, one more API can be there, which is like on reconnect, like reconnect API. For example, you lost the connection in between, but you are still working on a document, right? So that is one of the API that can be. Again, this will be post because this has a lot of data. So I'll edit here, post, and this is the request body. How do I move it below? One second. Yes. This is a request. Okay. Similarly, there will be a reconnect API. Again, it will be a post and whatever will be the request. You can send that. So here you see the type is sync. The type was update. Okay. Similarly here, if you want, you can have a like the type read because you are just join the document. It can be the type read. Can be. And then the revisions that you have currently in your local, all those local buffer updates that can be here. So that are the different APIs that I can think of. Get once you join, update once you start updating, and reconnect. Anything else you think? Any other API is required over here at high level?
I have one query. Like you said, reconnect API. So, how would the system know that we are offline actually?
Yeah, so it will not get any response. Like it's a WebSockets. You are not getting any response on the server. So your client side JavaScript will understand that okay, we are offline, and as soon as it gets the connection back from the WebSocket, uh, then it will. No, okay, I have to reconnect now.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks for that query. Any other questions or any other API you think we need? No. Okay. Cool. Uh, then comes the point of optimization. Here we can discuss various things. One as I already told you, right? Undo redo part. So undo slash. So I think since we are maintaining different versions, it is not going to be so tricky because let's say if you are just doing Control Z Z Z Z Z, and if it's something that is in your local buffer will just remove it from your local buffer. But let's say everything in your local buffer has been sent, right? Then it will become a new packet. So I'll give you one scenario. Let's say I added a couple of paragraphs. All of them are in my local buffer, and that is not yet sent for some reason till now. Either the batch timing is not yet done, or there is not enough content. So, and I do Control Z Z Z. All of what I'll do is I'll just remove it locally because I have not yet sent it to server. I don't need to worry about making it consistent for others. So I'll just remove it from local. Now, let's say if it is either in the sent buffer or it's already been sent. Okay, it's already been sent and it's updated to all other users. Then I have to make a new request, which is undo request. So again, it will be same update API will be called, like update API. And here we have to just say is undo true, and then the operations like whatever happened, whatever was deleted, okay, or whatever was inserted according to that. And similarly for redo, all similar thing. Like for redo, you will, let's say you removed it from the local buffer and now you did redo. So again, you will create new packets and add it to the local buffer. But if it's not in the local buffer, it's already there. Then again, you have to go a local buffer only. There's no other option. So first it will go to local buffer and then it will be updated. So that's how your undo redo will work. Any query, concerns, questions here? No. Another thing is like offline editing. Well, you already covered it. It's not like, but it's good to mention. Okay, we already covered it. How we are going to handle offline. We will have a local buffer, and then it will keep on getting populated. And once you come online, you sell it in batches of 5 or something like that. So and also when you reconnect, you have a reconnect API which will send you the current state, and you'll get the updates from the server, and you'll apply it in your DOM. So we already discussed it, but yeah, good to mention over here. Apart from that, I would say we can discuss about localization. Since it's a text editor app, it's definitely good to discuss localization. Like if someone wants to edit in their language, whether you're allowing it or not, where their language follows RTL or left to right, because we are writing from left to right, they will be writing from right to left. So that support, and there are certain languages like Mandarin or certain language which write top to down. So does your application support or not? So you can talk about that, uh, and also like currency formatting, time formatting. So all comes under localization because we do DDMMYY, someone else does MMDDYY or something else. Same for time, right? Your in your local you have different time, in other local they have different time. So you will have to handle rendering time. So last updated at you will have, right. So what time should you show, and currency, right? That's again minor thing, but good to mention. Other than that, accessibility, again that we discussed heavily in our rich text editor thing, that it should be keyboard accessible. You should be able to access and able to perform all the actions that your rich text editor provide via the keyboard. So you do Control B for bold, you do Control I for italics and all those, right? But in your toolbar, you can have multiple uh, operations. Let me show you tip tab. You'll understand. So if you see here, there are like this thing, like arrangement of paragraph, right? And if you go to Notion like editor, you will have even more. Uh, okay, here we by default you don't have, but let's say something like this, or like here if you see like link, adding link, let's say select here, then edit link. So all these should be accessible via your keyboard. Okay. In second term, screen reader wise also, right? It like if there's something which is constantly getting updated, then you should allow that. Sorry, you should announce that as a live ARIA live. You have to give proper ARIA labels. You have to make sure that if someone is just updating your documentation with voice dictation and listening back via screen reader, they should be able to access your website. So proper semantic HTML and proper ARIA labels should be there. Uh, and always when discussing these kind of optimization, localization, accessibility, make sure it is in context of your uh, prompt that you're discussing. Don't just say general, like yeah, we should have WACI 822 accessibility, and we should have localization. Specify how it applies to your particular prompt. Okay, that's really important. Cool. So, any other optimizations that you think we can do? Yeah.
The format of the document.
Exactly. That's a really important one. We should definitely discuss it. Format of document. So how are you going to save it? Are you going to allow them to save it as docs? Are you going to allow save it as PDF? What are other formats that you want to allow them? How are you going to provide it? Right. So you can just discuss overall. You don't have to discuss that how exactly is the algorithm going to work. You can just tell that I'll allow them to do it in doc or PDF. That's all. Uh, it just shows that you're thinking of the proper user experience, because exporting is a very basic uh, functionality for an editor, right? So yeah, and you should be allowing them to export it in such a way that they can export it and they can edit it locally or edit it in some other platform if they want, if that's one of your use case of your application. So one is like ODT format, open document technical specification. You can allow them that they won't be able to read it, but they will be able to edit it in different kind of softwares, and most of the software will should allow ODT. So yeah, what else? I think that covers majority of it in respect to a collaborative rich text editor. Uh, but I'll give
Like
you,
we
yeah,
can save the history of the changes or something like that.
yeah,
Like we
maybe
have in
version
Figma.
history. If you want to go back to certain version history, right? Is that draft thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that also another functionality you can give them if you want, um, draft approved, sort of an approval flow, approved with draft. But if you mention this, then you'll have to discuss in detail how you're going to do this. Uh, so if you have time, you can mention. It's fine. Even if you mention, if you are running out of time, it's good that you bring this point also, because sometimes there are version histories that you might want to go to, or you want to have this entire life cycle that I am now. This is my draft. I sent it for approval. It is now approved, and now I have an approved version, but still I want to create a new draft. So I'll have approved with draft. This is your entire life cycle of an document. You can edit if you want.
Okay.
Let's keep version history. So in that you can have the latest three versions maybe. What else? Anything else? Okay. So I think we are good with the discussion. We covered all radio part, requirements, architecture, data model, interface, optimization. Most of the time we spent on architecture. And the core, most important part is concurrency model, concurrency control model discussion, and the conflict resolution discussion. If you don't do this, if you do everything else, you'll still not be selected. So focus on these. Even if you lose time for optimization, it's fine, but make sure these two are definitely discussed. Uh, and you have to find the balance of going into depth and covering more. Okay, so but yeah, definitely spend a good amount of time in this. Let's say if it's 50 minutes you get, 20 minutes should be spent here. The rest you can spend everywhere else. Yeah. And sometimes what I have seen, and even personally what I do is like when I see that the discussion is going in a good way and the person is able to talk more, I don't care about time. I'll give 1 hour, 15 minutes, I'll give 1.5 hours. Again, it depends if I have another meeting or not. But and I have seen people do that also when I give interviews. Uh, if the discussion is going in a good way, if they are able to see that this person is knowledgeable and I can try to get more out of him, right? So time won't be an issue, but still, always remember at minimum you have 50 minutes. So yeah, that was the entire discussion. Phew, cool. As I told, I'll share the rich text editor link. Let me share that now. And yeah, if you guys want to drop, you can drop. I'm done with the discussion. I'll stay back for like few minutes. If someone wants to discuss anything, not just this.
Can you send the visual explainer that you have made for OT and CRTT?
Yeah, sure. I will send that also. I'm gonna actually add it in a GitHub repo and share that. I will do that. Um, where was that video, man? Found it. Share, copy. In that video, in the description, you will find the escalator also, and I'll send this escalator also link. Actually,
Yeah.
I'll share it now itself. I'll do that one second. First, I'll share this. This is my rich text editor video, and now first I can